And welcome back to the beginning of Week of Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from Shengsun, who asked the question, who would win in a fight, God Emperor Joker versus Doctor Doom? Now keep in mind, I want to be very clear here that I've only been asked to do Doctor Doom versus God Emperor Joker. We aren't doing God Emperor Doom versus God Emperor Joker. But I will address that outcome as well. We obviously know that Doom is the leader of Latveria. He's the leader of his own country. He is the prime enemy of the Fantastic Four, and one of the prime villains of the Marvel universe to begin with. He is a genius, a master of mysticism, technology, hand-to-hand combat, you name it, he's kind of a master of it. In fact, there was a point where he could have easily been the Sorcerer Supreme. In the story arc involving the Marquis of Death, who was a individual reality warping power so grand that he could just wipe universes out instantly. He ultimately one-upped him by secretly becoming his apprentice. Doom has vast amounts of different technologies that I'm not going to really get into because I'm going to be honest, it's not going to really matter in the fight. He obviously has his Doom Bus. He has his teleportation technology, so forth and so on. His armor, though, is probably his biggest asset. It is magically and mystically infused and technologically fortified and keeps him separated from the outside world to the point where he's actually strong enough to survive a shot from the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, granted, Thanos wasn't going all out when he did that, and he ultimately didn't survive long-term in that scenario, but he did survive a shot from the Infinity Gauntlet. But Doom is still human. Doom can still be killed. It's just he is difficult as hell to do that. God Emperor Joker is what happens, and I got this image right here, hold on, is what happens when you basically give him the power of Mr. Mxyzptlk, a fifth-dimensional imp. Now, this becomes very interesting in terms of power leveling. Because where does the level of a fifth-dimensional being lie versus someone like a Superman or Darkseid or a Dr. Manhattan, for example, in terms of powers? And the answer to that is kind of like this. Basically, his powers surpass anything like Superman can do, but Superman beats him by outsmarting him. His powers most likely also surpass someone like Darkseid, but again, someone with intellect can easily outsmart him if need be. It's all about outsmarting Mr. Mxyzptlk more than anything else. However, even Mr. Mxyzptlk stated that his powers were actually insignificant compared to someone like Dr. Manhattan's. So even he isn't like the end-all be-all power source in the universe. Mr. Mxyzptlk, as powerful as he is, does have limitations. And I say this because that is basically where we have to kind of level Joker out. Because he has all of Mr. Mxyzptlk's powers, just has a different mentality. He's completely sadistic. At one point, he was killing Batman over and over and over again. But he ultimately gave up the powers, too, because he was convinced to do so. Batmite is another being who is like basically the same as Mr. Mxyzptlk, just Batman's equivalent. And even he couldn't stop the Emperor Joker because of the mentality he had behind that. So the question becomes, regular Doom versus Joker, God Emperor Joker, who wins? In that initial confrontation, Joker's going to basically just be Batmaning him all day. He's going to be just killing him over and over again, even with all the abilities that he has. But it comes down to, can he outsmart Joker and make him give up those powers? And the answer is probably. He's at least as smart as Batman, if not even smarter. And he's smart, almost certainly smarter than Superman. So it's very likely that he can convince the Joker to give up those powers in some way. I liken it to as like you call yourself a god, and yet you do nothing godly with your powers. You were probably better off. As a mortal, god among men, than a weakling among gods, or something like that. Easily get to Joker's ego, which is one of Joker's biggest flaws, is his ego. And go for the nerve there. So, yeah, I think that Doom actually would win because he would be able to ultimately outsmart the Joker. But the question, and so you'd think that God Emperor Doom, who has the power of the Beyonder, would be just as capable of doing that. But actually, I don't think so. Because one of Doom's biggest flaws, well, in fact, his biggest Achilles heel is his own ego. Doom's biggest weakness is himself. And when he had the powers of the Beyonder, he did, if I remember correctly, the storyline, he was a little more careless. He wasn't using his intelligence quite to the level he originally was. That's my memory. I might be remembering it wrong. So I actually think because of the level of power he had, he wouldn't be trying to outsmart the Joker so much as just straight out outpower him. And the Beyonder versus Mr. Mxyzptlk. Well, that's a versus video I probably should do at some point. I actually think that goes to Mr. Mxyzptlk because while the Beyonder is beyond like a multiversal being, so is Mr. Mxyzptlk. He's the fifth dimensional being, whereas the Beyonder, I can't remember how the Beyonder is actually described. I think Mr. Mxyzptlk is displayed as having a slightly more diverse power set. And yeah, he would overpower Doom. Now, if Doom finally realizes that he can't outmuscle the Joker, he would still probably fall back on trying to outsmart him. And in that sense, again, yes, Doom would probably be able to outsmart him. Plus, he has the powers of the Beyonder at that point. So, yeah, in that sense, in that description, yes. Doom ultimately wins only on the grounds that he has the intelligence to outsmart his opponent. So, for my money, yeah, I'm still going to go for Doom. Doom is going to win this fight. But this is just my opinion. What do you think the outcome would be? Who do you think would actually win? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. It's the week of Who Would Win, so there's a Who Would Win every day. I'll see you for the next one. Have a good one.